All right, so we're back. I want to talk about 5 things that I kind of regret not knowing before I got so many of these plants. Let's get into it. All right, so this is not clickbait. I want to really tell you 5 things that I do regret not knowing before I got so many plants. Let's get into it. Not all plants are to be on the same watering schedule. I didn't know that. I assumed that since all the plants are in the room, and if one get dry, wouldn't they all be dry? Some plants like to dry out. Some like to stay moist. And that's something that you have to learn before you get your plant so you can learn how to better accommodate your plant. Because sometimes when you get it, it's a little too late. I lost a lot of plants to overwatering plants. Lights. I know I talk about this probably more than what I should, but guys, it is so fundamental. Like, I didn't know the importance of grow lights. To be honest with you, I didn't even know grow lights existed before I got into the hobby. But lighting is everything. I'm telling you, if your plant is not growing, if your plant's looking a little bit funky, janky, plant just seems like it wants to do something, but it can't, and you know that you're giving it water, I'm willing to bet you money, which I'm not going to do, but it's lights. Lighting is something that's very overlooked by a lot of us because we just assume that if you just put it in the bedroom or you put it in the living room, as long as it's by the window or even the bathroom, that everything is going to be all right. Not necessarily. Again, though, that goes into what kind of plant that you have to be able to know whether or not that plant's going to be able to survive. But what I'm going to tell you is you're going to be in for some heartbreaks if you take a high light needing plant and you put it in somewhere where the light is very dense. I think that's a good choice of words. So if you don't have your plant by a window, definitely get some grow lights. And number one, do your research so you know. I did not lose a lot of plants to poor lighting. Let's just say my plants stayed dormant for a very long time, so my plants didn't grow. And you know what I did? I went and bought more plants because I thought something was wrong with those plants. Let's get to our next one. Definitely figure that this is the best time to talk about this. Pest will happen. This is my pest cabinet. I'll just flat out say it. Some plants don't have pests. Some do have pests. Usually the biggest pest that I have working over here is mealybugs. I actively spray. I actively treat. I do all that I can. But when I catch a plant inside of the room that just seems like it's going to decline a little bit with pests, I go ahead and put it over here, and we're going to see if we can isolate it and get it going. I didn't know this was going to end up being the hospital, but that's what it ended up being. Do not feel bad that you have pests. Gosh, I just thought that if I get pest, I am a bad plant parent. That's not true. Pest comes along with the hobby. Most of the time, it has nothing to do with you. Are you creating mealybugs? Are you going outside bringing in thrips? No, you're not doing any of that. That usually come from the plant stores. I hate to say it, but most of the time, those mealybugs, they're going to come from a big box. And those thrips, sometimes they come from you ordering offline. The people you don't know, and they send you those plants, you come in and you just throw your plants in together. I'm just saying, I'm not creating thrips or mealybugs, so they have to come from somewhere. And that's the most accurate description I can give to you. So just remember, pests come with the hobby. Don't feel bad, but you should feel bad if you don't do anything to treat them. Now, you all know how I feel about that. You have to get your insecticidal soap, and you also have to get your systemic. You get those 2 things, you put it together, and you treat your plant weekly. Once a week, go in and take a look at it. If it needs to be treated, if it got a whole lot going on, go ahead and do it. Now, I am going to tell you this. If you go to a plant and it's covered from the top to the bottom of mealy bugs, trash it. Thank me later. Let's get to the next one. All right. Now, don't judge me over here, because if you do, I'm not going to show you over here no more. I'm just playing. I'm still going to show you. I don't care. Check this out. Soil. Soil, it matters. I know I tell you all the time, as long as you can work with any type of soil and you make it work, you can. And I'm not going to take that away. That is the truth. But let me tell you something. If you start with something as basic as Miracle-Gro, by the time you add so many different supplies in order to get the type of soil that your plant actually needs in order to thrive, it may be cheaper and less of a hassle to just go straight to the store and buy one already pre-made. This right here. Now, I talked a lot about Fox Farm, their soil indoor potting mix. That's a good mix to go with. I think it's the ocean mix, whatever it's called. That's a good one. But this right here, straight out the bag, is very, very, very good too. You can do all of your pothos with this straight out the bag. You don't need to add anything. You actually can do your philodendrons too. Now, when it comes to monsteras, you all know that you have to add a little bit of indoor potting mix or something in there, because it likes to retain moisture. If you go in there with something like this, just orchid mix, and this does have a little bit of indoor potting mix, but if you go in here with this, orchid bark, perlite, just for your monstera, you're gonna have a problem. Now, the importance of soil is to be able to provide the nutrients that the plant needs in order to survive. I mean, but you don't have to complicate it that much, because at the end of the day, the plant is just growing in dirt if it's outside. But since you do have the plant inside, there are a few things that they just don't naturally get. So that's why it's so important that if you do decide to use a cheaper indoor potting mix, that you do put the stuff in there that it needs to be able to be airy. That means that that water is going to be able to get from the top to the bottom. That's not going to cause any type of root rot. Okay. That's the main importance of having your own mix. The next thing is gnats. The more moisture that your plant retains, the more gnat problems you're going to have. Now, you can go and get those mosquito bite pellets, I think that's what it's called, and put it at the top, or buy one of those little stick mats and put it in there. Or you could just turn around and just do a good airy mix, and you don't never have to worry about it. But that's your battle. You pick what you want to do. All I have to say is my whole room in here, we don't have gnats. All right, and I figured this will be the best one to end on, the fifth one. More plants equal more work. I love my plants more than probably a sane person should. But I'm going to tell you this. They work the heck out of me. I am constantly always repotting, reattaching to a moss pole, propagating, moving, rotating, adjusting. I mean, if a light like this right here, if this goes out today, I got to order one today, because my plants, they need it. They need me. And because of that, I have to plan. We talked about this before in another video on how time consuming this could be. More plants is more work, more time. Also, it's more expensive. I hate to break it to you, but the bigger your plants get, the more costly it costs, because now you're no longer buying potting mix for a little bitty pot. You're buying it for a big pot. You're no longer buying a moss pole just for a little plant. You're buying it for a big plant. Now, mind you, some of your stuff you'll be able to carry over. We all know that as you start the journey, and if you don't know, I'm going to tell you, save all your stuff. Don't throw it away. Now, if it's moldy, things like that, broke, throw that away. I'm talking about all your little pots, all that, don't throw them away. Now, I have a bad problem with collecting a whole lot, probably too much. But what I'm just saying is, you will always need them, because what happens with your big plants? You cut them, you propagate them, right? You give them away to people, or you keep them for yourself. What are you going to grow them in? You can't just stick them in that big pot. So you don't have to go and spend money to get the stuff that you already have. But I am going to tell you this, and I'm going to leave you with this. Don't be in such a rush to keep buying once you notice that your plants are grown, because what are you going to do with them? You know what I mean? I know I'm saying this, but I still have a few on my bucket list that I want to buy. But let me tell you something. The days of just going to the store, picking up a plant just because, oh, it's cool, it look nice. Nope. Because I'm going to tell you, it's nothing worse than when these plants get sick and you got to get in here, you got to take care of them. For right now, things seem to be fine. But something's a brewing. It always is. Something's always going on. But I'm going to tell you all of that, but I'm still going to tell you this. Do I have any regrets about having the plants? Absolutely not. But I do have some regrets on not knowing what I should have known before I got into this, because I know I could have saved probably a lot of money, a lot of time. And if we're being frank, I probably would have made a couple of different plant decisions. But anyway, that's all I got for y'all today. Y'all take care.